Jetzt sollte man mich hören. Hallo?
Hi, Volker. Hey, we're a little early. I think you clicked on start broadcast already, didn't you?
Yes, I just started the microphone. We had some trouble with the WebEx session, so now it's fine.
Okay. Yeah, we still have 2 minutes to go. So we'll maybe you can bring up the PowerPoint slide for now so people see the agenda or what we're going to talk about today, and then we'll give them. Well, but now it's another minute for everyone to join, and then we can get going.
Let me check. Usually I use Zoom and not GoToWebinar. Where is it?
You should have the show screen button in your GoToWebinar control panel.
Let me check. It is gray. It says screen transfer.
Oh, now hold on. I'm going to make you presenter. Now you should be able to present.
So. Okay. But this is the wrong screen. Ah, Jesus.
All right. Now we can see.
Now I got it. Now I got it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, now since it's 10:30, I guess we can officially get started. The way typically we do it with Alessandro, I do a quick introduction and talk about some housekeeping, like recording of the session, etc., and then I'll hand it over to you, and you can just run with it. Okay.
Okay, that's fine.
Alrighty, well, thanks everyone again to our, I think it's the 5th session or so, Ask the Experts. Today, we're gonna have Volker with us, and he's gonna talk about SAP HANA database security. So we covered HANA as an application server in the past, in previous sessions. Today, we're gonna talk about the database. Now, before we get started, just a few housekeeping questions. As always, the session will be recorded. Actually, it is already recording, so you'll receive a link to the recording after this session. If you have any questions that you have not submitted up front, you can ask them via the GoToWebinar questions panel. So you can extend that or expand it, type in your questions, and then we can cover them at the end of the session. Session is approximately going to last 30 minutes or so. Then we're going to talk about or try to answer any questions we got in between. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Volker, who's going to talk to you about HANA database security. All right, Volker, all yours.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we will talk about, as already mentioned, about HANA database security, and it's all about user management, roles, privileges, yeah, then things like catalog, repository, or HDI. So there's a lot of movement inside the HANA database development, and these topics I will address. Yeah, so let's start. Just little information about our company, Xiting. Most of you will already know our company. 2008 founded in Switzerland, and meanwhile in Germany, in UK, in the US, in Romania, in Cluj, with our support center. Yeah, that's enough for information on this. Typical questions, because I didn't get questions before this session. Typical questions, because I'm also trainer for SAP HANA security courses. Typical questions that always come up: do I need a HANA database authorization concept? And I can tell you, yes, of course, you will need a concept, yeah, for HANA database access. Yeah, there are different tools around. Yeah, most of you know the HANA Database Studio as a plugin. Yeah, but the plugin is deprecated. Yeah, so the Studio, so there are new tools now available and should be used. Most of you will know the ABAP SAP User Information System. Is there something similar in HANA so far? I say no, sorry, no, it is not. Yeah, we have SQL statements, we will see later. Another topic, do we have a tool which supports us to figure out which authorizations or privileges are missing if a user wants to access data in the HANA database? We have 3 different types of roles. Yeah, it's historical grown. Yeah, from the beginning, from HANA 1.0 to HANA 2. Catalog roles, repository or HDI roles. Yeah, and that leads us to the questions. Yeah, we have also HANA application servers integrated in each HANA database. Yeah, do we use them? Yeah, which kind of application servers do we have? And these are the main topics I will talk about during the next couple of minutes. So why do we need a HANA database authorization concept? Because of course we have at least HANA database administrators working with the database. And these administrators do not need access to business data, for example. Yeah. We might have developers developing in the database direct. It's a question if I have a native HANA database application or if I use the HANA database as a database for S4 systems. Yeah, but at least we have administrators. Yeah, and what's the actual situation? More and more demand comes from business users to get direct access to the data inside the HANA database, because all the data are stored or are kept in the HANA main memory. Yeah, and why should I pull the data from the memory of the HANA database into the memory of the ABAP system if I can directly access this data? And then, of course, we need more extensive authorization concept in the HANA database. And everything else, yeah, if we allow direct access, anything else we have to take care about is authentication, of course, authentication, of course, username, password, yeah, or better, some kind of single sign-on mechanism. Authorizations in the HANA database are privileges. We have 6 different kind of privileges in the HANA databases. We talk about identities. We have user types in HANA database. Okay, we have only normal users and restricted users. Yeah, encryption is a topic, but we won't discuss the encryption part during this session. And of course, HANA offers also an audit log functionality. So let's start. The main administrative tools are still the HANA Studio. Yeah, SAP always mentioned that it's deprecated, it will disappear in the future within next main HANA database release. Nobody knows when will the next major HANA database release will be published. Yeah, so the HANA Studio is still a quick alternative for most of the administrative actions in the HANA database. Yeah, it offers different views, yeah, but there is no new development inside the HANA Studio. So if the HANA database has new features, like up-to-date HANA 2.06, these features cannot be accessed via the HANA Studio. Yeah. Studio, of course, is a local installation. It's Eclipse-based, yeah, but there are no further development. It's only maintenance, yeah, some bug fixes for the HANA Studio. So the new main tool to administer the HANA database is a HANA Cockpit. HANA Cockpit is based on the new XS application server, XS Advanced. Every 3 to 6 months, there's a new support package for the HANA Cockpit with new features. Yeah, and of course, it's server-based. The HANA Cockpit can be installed as a separate installation, maximum 32 GB, or as an add-on installation on an existing HANA database. Most of the customers use a combination. Yeah, so myself, if I don't want to spend too much time with searching titles in the cockpit, I use a studio for some quick actions, for example. Yeah, but new features I won't find in the studio. I only find them in the HANA Cockpit. And of course, in the HANA Cockpit, it is important that each user accessing the cockpit is using his own personalized user for the connection to the HANA database. Yeah. I've put some screenshots here inside from an HANA Express installation. I can recommend you if you want to play a little bit around, yeah, and try something. Install HANA Express. It's free. You can download it from SAP. It needs a computer, a Mac or Windows PC, with at least 16 GB RAM. Yeah, the maximum for HANA Express are 32 GB. Yeah, and it runs perfect, for example, on my small MacBook Pro here beside me. So if we're dealing with user, how to create user? It's easy to create user. Yeah, we can create user over the HANA Studio, over HANA Cockpit, over SQL Console, over XS Classic. With an ABAP system, with a HANA database, we can extend the SU01 transaction, yeah, with another tab for DBMS. Yeah, there's a maintenance view, user underscore DBMS underscore system, where you can manage connection from the ABAP system directly to the HANA database system. And of course, you can connect external management tools, user management tools like IDM, GRC, LDAP, third party. Some customers have developed their own application. You only need an SQL connection string, create user, password, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and then you can create users inside the HANA database. For this, of course, you need the user admin privilege. Another possibility, and this is quite new, with HANA 2.0, SAP introduced so-called user groups, similar to user groups in ABAP. Yeah, if you want to create a user inside a user group, and you are privileged to do that inside the user group, there is no user admin privilege necessary. Yeah, because there's a new object privilege group operator, and this allows you to create users inside a group if you have the group operator privilege. Another feature of these user groups are you can define user-specific password policies and password blacklist for users inside a user group. Yeah? And user groups, of course, they do not have any role assignment. Yeah, it's only for authentication. So if you want to figure out which users have which privilege or which roles, yeah, for example, you want to know which privileges has the user Pauli or Pauli, then you have to execute some SQL statements. For example, there are public views inside the HANA database. One public view is effective privileges, and it shows you which privileges a user has assigned via a role or via direct assignment, which is not a good idea to to perform any direct privilege assignments. Same for analytical privileges. Analytical privileges are used to restrict data access on a view, for example, based on company codes or plans or whatever. Yeah. Or if you want to know which roles has a user, yeah, there's a different public synonym, yeah, effective role grantees, yeah, and then you can figure out which user has, for example, the exciting role admin. So as I already mentioned, yeah, we have application servers inside the HANA database. And the first application server which was introduced a long time ago, yeah, with HANA 1 SPS 5 was the XS Classic application server. Yeah, within the XS Classic application server, we have the so-called repository infrastructure. Yeah, it's based on packages and so on. But XS Classic is JavaScript based, and for a lot of companies, JavaScript is server-based. JavaScript is not an option, yeah, because it's easy to attack JavaScript applications. The only thing you need to have access to the Web IDE Classic is this HANA standard role, SAP HANA XS IDE roles, editor developer. Then you have access to the Web IDE. But SAP says with the next, with the next major HANA release, we will kick out XS Classic and the repository. So in some years, I mean the maintenance, the mainstream maintenance for HANA 2.05 today is June 2025. Yeah, we will see what happens in 24. But there's a new application server. It is XS Advanced. And XS Advanced is available since HANA version 1, SPS 11. And it's enhanced all the time. So there's ongoing enhancement. You can use the XS Advanced either on-premise, on your own HANA system, in your own data center, or via the HANA Cloud Connector or the SAP Cloud Connector. You can also use the Business Technology Platform, BTP. There's also the XS Classic application server available. Yeah, and you can create your roles and database artifacts either on your on-premise XSA or on the Business Technology Platform. XSA is based on the Microtechnic architecture, so each application is running in its own environment. And one of the main differences between XS Classic and XS Advanced is if an application crashes on XS Classic, the whole XS Classic is down. Yeah, if an application on XS Advanced crashes, all the other applications will run further. Yeah. There's a typing error. Another main difference is you can develop in Google JavaScript, yeah, in native Java, in C++, HTML5 applications. Yeah, so more options when things or database objects or whatever Fiori applications should be developed. XS Advanced has its own authorization concept, so it's a little bit different from the classic HANA database itself. It has an own database explorer. I will show you very shortly. And it's a new standard, yeah, within the HANA database. So SAP is going on with the development of XSA. So the structure of the XSA, yeah, especially for the development environment in XSA or the XSA, it's based on organizations. Now, organization is typically the customer name, whatever, Xiting or whatever. Inside an organization, we have different roles. Yeah. So who's organization manager, who's organization auditor. Within each organization, we have several spaces. Yeah, we can have a space, whatever, for financial applications, for material management applications, for whatever. Yeah, and each space has, again, an authorization concept. So we have space manager, yeah, for creating spaces, for example. We have space developer. Yeah. So if a developer is authorized to develop in space A, yeah, he cannot develop in another space. Yeah. And we have space auditors. All applications, or for example, roles, yeah, we develop inside an application, inside a space, are stored in so-called container. A container is something similar to a schema in a HANA database. Each container has a container owner, and he has always this, I don't know in English, in German it's Router, OO in the name. This container owner owns the objects inside the container, but has no access to other containers or schemas. For example, yeah, if I develop something, a role inside space A, yeah, I don't have, the container owner has no access to, for example, to the ABAP schema inside the database. So if I want to build a role which allows me to have access to a table Mara in the ABAP schema, for example, yeah, I have to create a so-called user-provided service inside the new HANA XSA cockpit. Yeah, and the syntax is like this one, for example, which host, yeah, which port, it's the SQL port, which user is used to make the connection to the database table inside the schema, password, yeah, which schema, yeah, where is the table, yeah, which driver should be used, yeah. And as you already see, to develop something in the XSA, at least if you want to create a role, some development skills are necessary. In XS or XS Advanced, as I already mentioned, yeah, we have new development tools like code editors, debugging tools, yeah, unit test tools. We have a version control. Yeah, we have visualization tools for coding. We have XS Advanced Runtime tools. We have a new database catalog browser. We have an SQL console. We have an SQL debugger, a job log viewer, and we have a new XS Advanced cockpit for the management, for example, of organization spaces, yeah, for role collections, for trust configuration, database management, again, user management, monitoring of applications inside XSA. We have a space monitoring, yeah, and I can show you, yeah, the new web IDE, or better start with the new HANA XS Advanced cockpit. Yeah, we see there's an organization. In this case, it's HANA Express because I'm working on my HANA Express system. Yeah, inside. Oh, sorry, time out. Log in again. Not translate. Yeah, inside the organization, we have a space SAP where SAP delivers their own applications inside XSA. we can create a space development, for example, or a space whatever. Yeah, and if you have a look inside the space SAP, yeah, we see which applications are running inside that space on XSA, which are started, which are not running. Yeah, and I want to get more information, for example, the new web IDE. I can just click on it and I see on which port the new web IDE is reachable. Yeah, I can restart, stop, yeah, delete, of course, everything. But back to the space, or back to the very first beginning. Yeah, on the top level of the XS Advanced, we have a user management, for example. Yeah, and we see that's my user, yeah, and which role collections my user has assigned. Yeah, user admin, yeah, tenant admin, authorization admin, yeah, I'm developer inside XSA. Yeah, we have the management of the tenant databases inside the HANA installation, and we see if XSA or the web IDE is enabled. Yeah, if the spaces are mapped to the tenant database. And again, if I go on space level, yeah, we have again a user management, yeah, where I can see, yeah, that I'm a space developer, for example. And the new web IDE for creating roles, and this is new now with SPS 5 HANA database. Before SPS 5, yeah, we had only a so-called code editor. Yeah, so you have to type in with this syntax what's the name of the role, yeah, which privileges are inside the role. Yeah. But now, new with SPS 5, we have a so-called role editor, which makes it much more comfortable to add privileges inside the role. Yeah. So this is a really good thing now that we have a graphical editor. We also see here, yeah, that we still have a couple of different privileges, like object privileges, yeah, schema privileges, analytical privileges, and of course, system privileges. That was a short demo. As I mentioned, from a historical view, we have different roles inside the HANA database. At the beginning, we had catalog roles. Yeah, I wrote the ancient past, but still there are still catalog roles possible because it's easy to create them. And you can create them in the HANA cockpit or HANA Studio or SQL. It's easy to create, but they don't have a version management. You can't transport them, so you have to create the roles on development, then again on Q system, on QA system, then again on the productive system. You need the role admin privilege. And if you have the role admin privilege as a user administrator or role administrator, you can create any role in the system and you can assign these roles to any user in the system. Dangerous. If you want to create a catalog role, for example, for a financial analyst, yeah, you need for your user, for your personal user, you need these privileges in your user master record. Otherwise, you can't grant them to other users. So I'm not a financial analyst, but I need these privileges to build a role for a financial analysis. The creator is the owner of the role, as I already mentioned. Yeah, and even worse, Yeah, if I have this privilege now for whatever financial analyst and somebody takes it away from my user, it's also taken away from the role. Yeah, if my user is dropped and I'm the owner of the role still exists, but it's empty, nothing in anymore. Yeah, SAP themselves, they deliver catalog roles, but these roles are only template roles, yeah, to see which privileges are necessary for some actions in the HANA database. Do not use them. Yeah, they are very, very powerful. Yeah, we have segregation of duty conflicts en masse inside these catalog roles. The next step, yeah, with HANA 1 SP5, yeah, are repository roles. Yeah, based on the XS Classic, yeah, they also still exist. They are still in use, of course. I can create them over the old web IDE of XS Classic, or less comfortable in the HANA Studio. I have to switch to the development perspective, and then I have a code editor, no role editor. These roles are created in packages, but one of the main advantages, I can transport them. So I create a role on the development system, and I use any transport mechanism with CTS Plus or whatever HANA to HANA transport. I can transport them. They have a version management. Owner of the role is the internal sys repo user. The creator of the role does not need the privileges he wants to put in. I do not need the role admin privilege, and we have a fine graphical role editor. But SAP wants to get rid of the XS Classic and also of the Classic Web IDE. That's why we have now these HDI roles. HDI, HANA Development Infrastructure. Yeah, so we have a new Web IDE inside the XSA. Yeah, we have this new development concept with organization, spaces, and container. Yeah, we have this container owner, yeah, with this OO at the end. Yeah, the container owner now needs the privileges he wants to bring into that role, yeah, with the option to grant it to other users. Yeah, as an alternative, you can put these privileges inside a standard role, sys DIO or defaults, but keep in mind then each container owner gets these privileges inside the role. But another disadvantage of these HDI roles is still they're similar to catalog roles. So if I revoke the authorizations from the container owner, yeah, they are also revoked from his roles. Yeah. You can transport them, for example, with the ABAP transaction as SCTS HDA tools, yeah, or via JIT repository. Yeah, we have this new graphical role editor, but of course you need development skills and the build process. Every time you change something inside the HDA, you have to start a build process. Yeah, and it takes time. Yeah, as you might see, the build has started, yeah, and now it goes on. Yeah, you see it's locking a container and so on. Yeah, so it's time consuming. So SAP wants to get rid of the XS Classic. They want to go to XSA, so they offer a tool, a migration tool, to bring these XSC applications or roles into XSA. There's a so-called XS Advanced Migration Assistant. There's a migration report. You have to download it from the support portal. But what I found a couple of days ago, what about BW and HDI? There's an SAP note, and it's mentioned, yeah. BW development has also evaluated the support of HDA deployment of BW-generated HANA calculation views, very often used in the BW on HANA or BW for HANA scenario. but the decision was made to not support the deployment to HDE, so they will continue to deploy the HANA views into the old HANA repository. So the question is really now, what happens after 2025? For me, the question is still open, how the future will look like. Will we still have the repository? Will we still have the catalog, or will there only be HDA, HDI, and XSA as a development? So this was a short overview over how to build roles in HANA database. So 5 minutes too late, but now we have still time for questions.
There is, I see one question in the chat box, and that is related to HDI container organization and spaces. And specifically, are these similar to the structures in BTP Cloud Foundry environment, or should they be used independently from independently from each other, or are they, structurally independent? What's the deal with those two?
They're on BTP the same as on on-premise XSA. So there's no difference. It's the same.
Okay. Okay. That was the only question I see.
Okay.
So if there are no more questions, then I assume you answered everything during the webinar. So thank you very much for that. And I guess we can wrap it up. We're already 5 minutes over, so we want to be conscious of everyone's time. And actually, yeah, no more questions, just a couple of comments. Thank you, Volker. And thanks everyone for joining, for sticking with us for 35 minutes. We appreciate it. You'll get a link with the recording shortly, and hopefully see you next time.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.